Maggie's trying to figure out phrasal for me with English phrases.
I've done it before.
By the way, that's Maggie Wolfendale. She's back. Been a while. When's the last time you were here?
What, Memorial Weekend?
Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow, 3 weeks.
Yep.
A lot of trips, little vacation with the family.
Yeah. I was earning my medallion status with Delta this month.
Which do you find you do more babysitting, being with your children or being with me?
Great question. You're a little neater than they are. I'll give you that.
You've never seen my apartment.
This is true.
You never will.
Thank God.
Anyways, talking horses, she's Maggie, I am Andy, and we're closing out the week. Derby week next week. I will be off next week. Maggie will be here, however.
Have fun,
Thank
BT
you.
Dubs.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
It's gonna be
I've
fun.
never been. And I have no desire to go until Mr. Morley has something that can win on running on the Derby.
You fringed on
undercard.
going last year. You left. What you did basically was you...
I was more than happy to get out of there after Thurby. I was like, this is good for me.
As soon as I came to town, basically, you left town. I had forgotten you were there, and somebody reminded me on Twitter the other day, actually, yeah, I will be heading. This is my third of the last 4 Derbies, and I had never been before that.
Okay, so there's still hope for me yet.
Yeah, you'll make it. Yeah, it's fun. I mean, it depends. Yeah, but as you say, I wouldn't go if I didn't have a friend that ever had horses in the races. Otherwise,
exactly.
I really wouldn't have a great deal of interest. But it is a fun time, and looking forward to it as well, and taking a few days off. But we have 9 to talk about, so we'll get to work. Head over to Naira Bets. If you're not a member of Naira Bets, no better time than the present. Use the promo code Derby25. That'll be good through next weekend. $200 sign-up bonus, of course, plus a free $25 bet for the Kentucky Derby while you're at Naira Bets. Check out the stats at Track Stats at NairaBets.com. Sign up, not sign up, check them out anyway. What else do we have? We have the, this just makes me crazy. If you bet to win in the last race, you get a 10% bump on your earnings.
Dornock beating Sierra Leone?
By the way, yeah, Dornock's last win. Middle pick 4, races 2, 3, and 6 pick 4s. Also today's mandatory giveaway day. All pick 5s and the pick 6 will be paid out today because it's closing the meet. I know you're excited. Belmont at the Big A begins Thursday. It's all different.
I know. It really
changes.
threw me off when I was looking up the form, and I was like, wait, Belmont? Oh, yeah, duh.
It actually threw me off because I couldn't find the overnight. I failed to go on Equibase to Belmont at the Big A. Anyway, cross-country Big 5, races 7 and 8 and 9 here, and 7 and 8 Oaklawn. We'll be covering those races on America's Day at the Races 1 to 6 today. Race number 1, and this is the Welcome Back Maggie purse. And we'll take a look at Mama's Dream finishing second 2 starts ago. You want to pick against her, you will be in disagreement with Maggie and I. I'm not proud.
Nope.
But him, actually, but I don't know. He runs this race. I know he's going to win here, and I don't think it's a negative drop. He's running where he belongs.
Right. He's competed, and at least 2-back was very competitive for the 40. And furthermore, while this is a little bit of a cutback in distance, at least he's speed from the outside. You know, his hand isn't necessarily forced. He can kind of play the break, see what Alpha Sunny does, and at the end of the day, I just think he's a better horse than any of these, though. A first-time starter is more than, you know, willing to maybe jump up and beat the likes of this field, but there's nothing really in the pedigree nor the workouts that suggest that this horse is any sort of, you know, standout.
We saw Rick Dutrow with a first-time starter beat a heavy favorite here last week.
Yeah, that's a really sore subject.
Why? Want to tease us with that?
No, if the people watching connected to that horse know you know, it was the horse was in the barn.
That might have been a Tom Morley horse at one point.
Yeah, about a week before it ran.
Oh, a week before. Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Already a little bit of vitriol on today's show. Not directed at me, which is
totally
sort of
fine.
the amazing part.
I bet the horse, so, you know.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. I don't let those ones slip away.
I don't recall a text, but my phone was
I told the people at Oaklawn.
Oh,
I told Lafitte.
All your close friends. Lafitte. When's the last time Lafitte made a bet?
I know.
A Dodger fan? She's been wearing a Mr. Mets outfit at Oaklawn. Race number 2. Let's take a look at race number 2 at Morning Cup, who you and I both have second before we get to our top choices, or I have third, you have second. I just never know what to do with these kind of horses. This is the last race.
Me neither.
Claimed by Linda Rice, off for 6 months. Her numbers off layoffs, off the claim with these layoffs. They're not great, but they're not bad. It just, I don't know what to think of a horse that's been in her barn for 6 months and she brings back and runs at basically the same level in a non-winners of 3 lifetime. I don't know, Mag.
I mean, are we going to be surprised when he wins? Absolutely not. But there's some things that make him not that appealing. Obviously, being a short price in here, and furthermore, like you said, not great numbers. But sometimes when you're dealing with those stats with these higher percentage trainers, it's all relative, right? So a 16% stat or, a 5 for 31 stat with Linda isn't great with horses that take money.
It's not. They're never that good. Right, her ROI in these 4 to 8 months layoffs off the claim, just in general in dirt sprints, it's a little over $1.50.
You took Flash Kiss. This
you don't even have in the top 4 and you're complaining.
I know. Look, I spent way too much time on this race and really thought he left a little bit of, sour grapes in my mouth last time because I picked him, but he was against the racetrack.
He was awful last time.
He was awful.
He
didn't switch leads. He didn't look great coming down the lane. But I thought was in a better race. And furthermore, the turn back, and he was against the racetrack.
I picked him in here. We'll take a look at his win 2 back. I have some reservations. The problems that I had was I just didn't want Morning Cup at a relatively short price off the layoff. I have no issue that Bad Larry might wire the field, the horse you have on top and I have second. But I don't really love him claim for 25 and dropping in for 14. Right. And I look at this horse, and I don't think it's that negative a drop.
Nope.
He's running in 16 claimers before that. He won this race. He ran a race fast enough to compete with these. He sucked last time. I'm not going to deny it. He runs his last race. He's getting nothing here.
Exactly.
But I just was looking so much. The one thing that worries me, and the big edge that both Morning Cup and Bad Larry have on him, is they're going to be forward in a race that may not feature that much pace, and he doesn't have much speed. I'm going to kind of trust in the Terra Nova barn and take this horse. I don't have a lot of conviction. I just saw flaws for other horses at shorter prices.
Yeah, I might shed a tear if he wins because I struggled a lot.
Won't be happy for your friend Andy?
I will be more than happy for you.
Thank you.
Just sad for myself.
It's okay.
Yeah, look, Bad Larry, he's shown that he's competitive at this level. Maybe it's not as much of a negative drop down as one would think. Jay
may have made a bad claim, running where he can win.
More than happy to be aggressive with the horse. We'll see what they do. Blinker's coming off. I kind of scratched my head a little bit about that, but otherwise he does have natural speed. That'll put him in that spot. And if Morning Cup wants it, fine. At least he's drawn to the outside of it.
I don't see how he's not forward in here, and I agree. I thought he was the worst to beat. I almost picked him as well. Race number 3. How big a favorite is Ben Du going to be in this race? I think David's wrong. I don't think Leading Contender is going to be as close. I'm going to hope this is one horse that drifts off. He was very impressive last time. Do you like him as much going around the 2 turns, even though he's run well going longer? Or was he a horse designed for these mile races?
Andy, I'm going to have to admit something.
What?
I have a massive horse crush on this horse.
Really?
Yeah.
Does Tom know?
I'll let him know.
I wish he hadn't won last time. Could he have just finished second?
He looks like
he is a good horse.
He looks like a horse that maybe he isn't. He's kind of, he made this big move to get into contention last time, and he almost kind of flattened out as Cascade saved more ground than he did.
Well, he was on the rail and he was wide, and the inside was the place to be. He ran much better than Cascade did, and I bet Cascade's much better.
Right, and Cascade was with the racetrack that day. I wonder, I understand what you're saying.
I'm not against him. Is
he that horse that needs that pace to make that kind of move, or is he actually more of a grinding type that is going to be more suited to these mile and 8? I don't necessarily know. I can't really put my finger on it based upon, because the first start in America put a line through it.
He was against the track. He was acting badly.
He was awful.
There was a million things going wrong that day.
Exactly.
You can throw that race
Junior
out.
Alvarado's life horrible. So I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt, getting back out to 2 turns, that he'll be A-okay with it.
Yeah, so he might be a stakes horse. The thing with Leading Contender, he showed his last race, I'm never going to be able to get past horses that race on dead rails.
Yeah.
And this horse was right down on the rail. Yeah, he drifted off in the 2 to 3 path in mid-stretch, but this horse spent 80+% of the race pinned down on a rail that was bad that day.
And he also looked like, as Manny Franco was kind of imploring him to go through there, he's like, I don't want to go through on the rail. But he kind of did. And then 2 back, he was,
he was wide against a good rail.
Exactly.
So he's on a dead rail. That's pretty good what's going on there, by the way.
Where are we?
I don't know. There was like something going on in the Woodbine feed with, I don't know if you knew he was on camera.
It's not a shot with Robert Geller.
He's very good, Robert Geller.
I love him.
Yeah, he's an excellent race car.
He is.
Glad to see Woodbine started. They just opened yesterday. I'm going to take a horse off a dead rail. I have no illusions. The one's horse beat. And I'm going to say something. If my friend David Aragona is right, he picked Harvard. He's obsessed with Harvard.
What?
He must have wanted to go there or something. If this horse wins, David, we should erect a statue of you.
I mean,
or you're never allowed to pick him again.
We are not worthy.
He's insane. I know he loves. I saw this horse. I said, "Oh, David loves this horse." I still didn't think he was nuts enough to pick him in here, but he's picked a lot of good prices. He liked your horse yesterday. That was a brutal beat in the stake, in the Woodhaven.
Who? What? Our horse?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was brutal. And they knew. I guess they also knew that Flavien Prat was going to give him as good a ride as you could possibly give a racehorse. Your horse probably moved a little. It's hard. It's a little hard.
No,
when the pace is collapsing in front of him.
Sure,
what's he gonna
I think, in the moment, Eric made the right decision. It was just that a horse that is probably very good was getting a better ride. And I think our horse ran really, really well.
He ran terrific. He shouldn't have been that bright.
And remember, I sat up here two starts ago, and you were like, what about the big torpedo when he was on the dirt? He was coming out of the Panda Gate race, and you said...
when I was right, he ran really well, and you didn't like him?
Right, and I said, we're waiting for the turf because Tom...
You did, that's right. I totally forgot that.
It's okay.
Also, I'll say something else. Flavien Prat can stay inside in ways that Eric Cancel can't. If Eric Cancel stays inside and gets shut off, he's the worst.
Right.
If Flavien does it, he's Flavien Prat. So I think it's a little hard for Eric in those situations.
Yeah.
Race number 4 was the one race that was a little bit screwed up by scratches, with particularly 2 contenders coming out of the race and changing things a great deal. Well, Maggie has MB's money, but the 5 scratch guys. So she has.
I did give them updated picks.
Well, good job.
So it's supposed to be 4-2-3-7.
All right. So 4-2-3-7. So we'll start with Gentleman Joe, who I don't like, obviously.
That's okay.
I think the figure of his race 2 back is just too high.
I just thought he was against the track last time. And at the end of the day, I feel like he's a horse that,
He was.
Has that race in him to be better than these in here.
Okay.
I mean, I did scratch into him, don't get me wrong. Look, this was a race full of horses that I didn't necessarily want to pick. You put Writer's Regret on top, who's coming out of a race where arguably against better horses despite being New York breds.
I agree. I just thought he ran against much better. I thought he was a little against the track when he won 2 back. I've always kind of liked this horse. I don't know how he'll do in the good barn. I'm not that familiar with this barn.
So this is the young man who was the assistant to Bill Morey when Bill Morey had horses in New York. He has yet to win a race yet, but has had
very few starters.
Exactly, limited chances.
I think a center for me in this race, and a horse that may be favored with the scratches, is MB's Money. And speaking of figures that need to be changed, Andy, you got to do something about this 88 buyer that is just 6 to 8 points too high, and horses are coming back and not running close to it.
Yeah.
So I know some also-rans ran their numbers. You got to be careful with also-rans. You just do. They don't necessarily belong in the conversation. This is no 88 buyer horse. Now, if you think he's competitive off an 80-ish buyer, fine. But he's going to get bet like he ran an 88 buyer last time out. And if you think he's going to run back to that number today, I wish you the best of luck.
Yeah.
I don't like that horse.
No.
I just think he'll be overbet. Now, Little Luca, on the other hand, is going to be loose now with the scratch of the 5 in this race. Now, the problem is, last time was the time. I know it seems like he's dropping. He's not dropping. This is a tougher group. He also was on a rail that was not a big gold rail, but it was definitely the place to be, especially early on Wood Day. And last time was the time for him, but are you going to be shocked if he wires the field again? No,
I won't be. Speed is just so dangerous. In all American racing, I'm always going to lean on a speed horse, whether it's on top or right there underneath. But you do look at the race 2 back, and you look at who he was running with, and I think there's better horses in here than I agree. My friend Larry that we're seeing for 16 in the race prior.
My friend Steve thinks that Sagamore Mischief will put pressure on him.
He could.
He could.
He could.
I'm not sure he's quite fast enough in here, but he could.
No, I think Little Luca is naturally faster, but he might Sagamore Mischief might make his job harder.
We'll see. I agree. I put him second like you because he is in a better position now in this race. I don't think he's good enough necessarily either. Race number 5. There are a lot of horses in this race that I don't love. Everly's Girl certainly could wire the field. I just thought it was going to be a faster pace with Mon Petit Choux and Timed Out in here. And I've got a thing for Starry Midnight. I feel very clearly that this is a horse that does not like moisture in the track. And that track was drying last time, and there was still moisture in it. And
you can have her.
Everybody is convinced that this horse wants more distance, and maybe she does. Or
didn't we all love her when she ran a mile and an eighth?
Well, we think it was a joke of a field.
Yeah.
She ran one of the better races she ever ran was her debut when she made a big run from behind. She's going to get pace. I'm committed. I have to bet her on the first fast track she's been on in a while. Yeah. The other thing is, Maggie, I just don't like the other horses. I don't think Mon Petit Choux can put up with the pace. Everly's Girl is fine. She can certainly win. I have nothing against her. She can absolutely win this race. I think Timed Out can win this race getting back into Linda's barn. I don't have a problem with her either. I think getting back into Linda, right? Or maybe she, yeah. I mean, I just didn't really like anybody else in here. And, you know, the horse you have second, I know that figure comes up as legit. Do you really believe it? That was a bad field.
Yeah, it was bad. It was a day where, I mean, she was close, to be fair, but backed by Gold.
Well, she was off a layoff, and she refound form she had had long before the layoff.
I know.
And she had run figures in the 70s to back it up before that, so it's not impossible.
You know, Mon Petit Choux.
Is there a TV show where somebody's making that joke about Mon Petit Choux? There is. Can't remember what it is. It's in my head somewhere. It's like a...
But, like, she has some go-back races, right? And I looked up hoping that I'd find some more meat on the bones with this stat, but a 50% drop off of a 6-month layoff.
The 50% drops for Charlie Baker are a disaster.
But off of a 6-month plus layoff?
Go.
1 for 1.
Yeah, 50% drop overall. He's 6 for 32. I know. He's 1 for 12 at Naira. I guess that one horse was off an 108-day plus layoff, but... Man, his drop-down numbers here and Finger Lakes stink. Yeah. It's like he's dropping them. They can't run anymore. And the other thing is, where is her path to victory? Because she's got 2 horses with speed right outside of her.
Right.
You got her fourth like I do.
She needs the lead. I know. I'm not that interested
right, but from that post, what was I
she's going to
do?
Get stuff kicked in her face, and I don't think she's fast enough to be on the lead.
I felt like I just didn't want to bet any of these, and I have to. I'm going to live and die one lap. I'm betting Starry Midnight tonight. Today. You can laugh at me after the race. I get your reasoning.
I just don't think she's much.
She may not be good enough, but you know what? There's no superstars.
Gosh,
in this race.
No.
The 6th race, the race you've all been waiting for, the Memories of Silver. It's actually a very, very good running of this race. We'll be back to cover it.
I was going to say, are we taking
a
break?
We are.
Okay.
We are.
For almost 150 years, the Saratoga name has been synonymous with the finest quality, sustainably sourced spring water available anywhere. Saratoga carries on the rich tradition of its forefathers by crafting each stunning blue glass bottle with the same attention to detail and care that has been its hallmark for generations. Visit SaratogaSpringwater.com today or ask for us by name at your local market or restaurant. Saratoga Spring Water. Make every day exquisite.
We're back, Maggie and Andy. I like people that are offering advice about what a clown I am on Twitter that have less than 10 followers.
Oh, gotta love it. In the basement.
They've discovered it.
Keyboard warriors.
Race number 6 is the Memories of Silver, who I loved dearly. Jimmy Toner trained. So many horses from that family line. She was such a good horse. And this race does feature one of the more talked about maiden winners who was subsequently purchased after the maiden race from Gulfstream. And listen, if you haven't seen it, we'll show you quite a bit of the race. I will say, I'm afraid that Sweet Rebecca is going to be closer to even money than a 9-5, which is why I didn't pick her. And we've gone to the same horse in here, I think for good reason. But this horse, she broke a little slow, but the 6 came out on her. If you watch the head-on, you can see it, and sort of took her out of the race.
And she gets rank.
This could be a very good horse. I'm not, you know, I don't think, Maggie, I don't think that you and I are against her. I'm just a little afraid she's going to be a super short price in here, but maybe she should be.
And look, I haven't seen her up close and personal, but watching this replay, she looks like a grand filly. Obviously, a sister to Sweet Melania as well in here, and also have Turungus, dirt horse around here. But look at this stride. I mean, Tyler just urges her with her hands, and she just lowers herself and extends those legs. She does look as though there's some legitimate talent to overcome such a disastrous start, being against her rider most of the way, out wide, not the way you normally win races at Gulfstream Park on the turf. So yeah, the future looks bright for her, but like you said, it's only her second start, and she's meeting winners for the first time in what is, I think, a very intriguing field.
I agree. This race came up pretty tough, actually, all things considered. And I'm not in any way knocking her and such. And Jon Stewart, who, if you haven't been following him on Twitter, you've been missing out on his Twitter feud with Mike Rapoli, which has been quite entertaining. They had a picture together. Really?
At Keeneland. Yeah,
you
missed that? Yeah,
they're buddies
BFFs.
now? No, I'm not surprised. There's no reason not to be. God, I mean, you know, it's,
yeah.
Listen, it's all good fun. I mean, as long as people realize these things can be in good fun, it's all fine. You and I like living magic. Now, we're going to show her winning the Chelsea Flower, where I thought she ran very well in there. And the horse she beat for Christophe actually did fairly well down in Florida. But I have a feeling that it's not just this race. I'm sure you watched her last race, Maggie.
Woof. And
she ate it.
I mean, from the word go. So she tried to go forward after being bumped at the break. Then she gets checked going into the first turn. So she's down on the inside, stymied in traffic about mid-pack. She's getting headstrong. And then she just, as one would predict, meets that wall of horses turning for home and is checked nearly back to last.
And she was still finishing at the end, despite all that nonsense.
She got re-interested. Once she got clear around the 8th pole, she managed to beat a few home, make up some lengths, and I think Buku is actually a pretty nice filly.
And yeah, I was not happy that I didn't look at that race and she paid $15, to be honest with you. But the other thing is, this is a horse that ran a 78 buyer here, winning a legitimate number in her 2-year-old year. Yeah. Those figures turn into 88s and 90s frequently. We see these horses improve 15 points all the time, going long as 2-year-olds when they start running as 3-year-olds. I think this horse is good. Now, I don't know that she's good enough to beat Sweet Rebecca, but she's going to be a good enough price for me to bet her.
Yeah, now she's third off the layoff, and as you said, she has every reason to be better than those 2 races coming back as a 3-year-old. You have another Chad Brown horse in here, Miss Motley. I don't know about the field she's coming out of. I thought Curlin's Girl could be a little bit intriguing.
We'll show her loss 2 back when she broke her maiden synthetic. I thought she ran fine last time. You know, she lost to a horse that came back and improved a couple of points. She followed that horse.
Place.
But I thought she ran fine in here, and I won't be surprised to see her run well for Tony.
No, like I said, her 2 isolated turf efforts are pretty good, even though they were 2 second-place efforts.
But she kind of got caught in that spot. The other horse had already made her move. It's very hard to catch those horses that are in full flight.
And she's trying to do it on the inside.
And you're inside of them. It's just tough to do.
And look, she kind of, not that, no foul per se, but she is, the gray horse who wins, Hello Hollywood, is kind of, drifting over on her. Just a little bit of intimidation.
I think she's okay. Listen, I think Faith Understood could be okay.
See, I just think she's too slow going a mile.
Probably fair. I don't think she's as fast as some of these horses early. The horse that I'm interested in, and I thought maybe you'd have somewhere, is You Know Nothing. Because We have seen Christophe enter in these races with horses that just look like they don't belong, and they seem to overperform. Despite how he behaves, he's actually not an idiot.
Oh,
and he knows that this horse, now, she's probably a horse that wants more distance. She might even be a horse that does a little better in synthetic. She actually ran very well last time. She got a ridiculous trip in there.
Yeah.
And making that big, huge sweep. Her race on the turf, first of all, there was no way, I know she's a big favorite, she couldn't catch the horse. The horse that won it got away from her. But if you look up horses out of that race, they have consistently come back and run significantly faster figs in turf races, 10 points easily. So I'm not going to be surprised when she can run in the low to mid 70s. And I don't know if she's good enough to win, but she's going to be a big price in here. So I thought she was a little interesting.
I really have nothing against her now. Winnable came back on the dirt and winning the Valley of the Vapors, you know, the prestigious Valley of the Vapors. She regressed a little bit.
Is there any
from
vaping going on while that was happening?
I'm sure a lot of it.
Yeah, Everland is in the Oaks, actually.
Yep.
I thought she ran fairly well in there. I'll tell you what horse I'm going to give a shot. She didn't run in this race, but ran in the prior race. That Brad Cox horse that tried the dirt and the Gazelle, she had absolutely no shot with the trip she had. The horse I liked in the Gazelle, the Brad Cox horse, you didn't like her, I don't think. You don't like that horse. No. Okay. Race number 7, Leonid scratched for the second time in the last week and a half. Coming out.
I'm a chucking weasel.
We'll take a look at Noda and Can't Beat the Rock. I have nothing against Noda. Noda's way the horse to beat here. I just have a little thing for a horse. Go ahead.
Who do you? So
I just didn't want. Noda broke the gate last time. Right. That was a weird race. I'm going to give her a pat.
Race,
this horse ran super in this race, so I'm a little worried. This horse is a little bit better on a wet track, but the race 3 back going a mile was very, very good. So I don't know if that race was really any worse than the wet track races, to be honest with you.
Honestly, it just came down to the fact, and two,
she's way the horse to beat.
And two, watching that last race after breaking through the gate, you know, Jose Gomez had to really send him to the lead. It was like he blew the acceleration when he broke through the gate, and so therefore, you know, that kick that he could have had was just not there for him last time. And I just felt like he was the most dependable horse in this field.
I have no argument. I think he's way the horse to beat. As far as Pascal Moon, well, you know, we have talked about it a lot, and I know you agree. Horses could not make up ground on March 30th.
Right.
And this horse broke well and was just out in no man's land in that race. In the 5 and 6 path, 4 wide in the turn, possible to make up ground, a race that was dominating the front end.
Gets back with Eric today.
You know, and I thought this horse, I know it's a sealed track, this horse ran extremely well in the Lock and Key race. Extremely well forcing him. And I know the figure's low, but Lock and Key has proven to be 10 points better than his figure in that race. And I'm not sure this horse isn't better than he looks. Time from US likes his races a lot more than Beyer does. And I can make a massive excuse for his last race, and I can make an excuse for his race before that. He ran into Tigers in that race.
He's been in good form.
Yeah, I think he's a little dirtied up.
The only thing that he's had a heavy workload.
Fair.
Throughout the winter.
That's fair.
That was my only slight knock against him.
Should we do a phoner with Toby?
Toby?
He'd probably love to have a Toby.
He's like, he's got a freshening mag. What are you talking about? He's been over a month nearly.
You know, he's a lot of fun when you just talk to him, but he's not good doing interviews or anything. He's kind of.
Tell me about it.
You should get him on there, and you should really rev him up.
I have, and
he's terrible.
He'll
really
even like decrease his sentences with me if I try to rev him up.
It's very disappointing.
He gets mad at me.
It's very disappointing.
Yeah.
Yes. Race number 8.
Love you, Toby.
I'll tell you one thing. The connections of Works for Me, I wonder if they're thinking.
Made the wrong choice.
Well, maybe they didn't know they'd get in. Maybe they didn't think they'd get in.
I'm
going to tell you something. That Works for Me.
He's a nice horse.
That horse is going to win a turf sprinter. That horse is going to win a stake. That horse could win what? Well, that horse could be pointing towards the now Grade 1 at Kentucky Downs. The most disgraceful, despicable. All
Franklin
the California
Square? That's
no, the Franklin Square. There's an argument that race is like no race Kentucky Downs should be a Grade 1, but that they made the one that was won by the horse that finished second in the Pat Mahoney. So we just assume the Pat Mahoney's going to be a Grade 1 this year.
As it should be.
Well, if that race is a Grade 1, then the Pat Mahoney should be. This horse,
agree with
that
you.
horse Works for Me is going to win the Pat Mahoney. That's quick call.
Yeah, he should win the quick call.
That horse didn't give up until like past the 8th pole yesterday. After that,
like
they didn't go 20 and 4.
I've liked him.
So this is a crazy race. What'd you do here?
I went to Alexis Zorba.
I just don't trust this horse.
Not particularly proud of it, but I do like him turning back because he was a bit keen when finishing second. When he got to the lead last time going the
He was. And he was involved in a very strange race in his comeback race at 5 furlongs at Gulfstream, where he just had to fight every step of the way, and that race completely and totally collapsed in the last 16th of a mile. Just fell apart. I have no problem.
I think the 6 is actually his best trip, despite, you know, he obviously finished 3rd the one time he tried it as the well-beaten favorite. But I'm going to give him another chance here. I'm
married to the horse that you have second. We'll get to him in a second. Let's talk about Yarrow. You and I are both circles. The other problem with Yarrow is he's got one big race, and the rest of them are just sort of okay. And he's probably going to take too much money off of that race. And it was almost a year ago.
I will say, last year, for his brief 3-race campaign,
he was better.
He looked better than ever. He really did.
Yeah, but then what happened to him?
That's the problem.
Yeah, I don't trust this horse. I'm not going to be shocked if I'm wrong and he wins.
And maybe blinkers are a huge revelation for him, but again, we haven't seen him since July, and that was just too long for me.
The horse that I'm not overly thrilled with is Mischievous Angel, and we'll watch him breaking his maiden, because this buyer figure doesn't, and this is his maiden win, his debut, doesn't bear up to scrutiny. Timeform US had it considerably lower. Horses have come back to suggest that maybe, and we're having trouble with the video from June 17th. Anyway, when Mischievous Angel broke his maiden first time out, I guess we've lost it. I just don't know if it's as good as that. And the other thing is, why the $600,000 purchase, here it is. Well, that's what Peter Brandt paid for him. I don't know what Parkland Thoroughbreds paid for him, but I doubt it was $600. Now, for all I know, it was a lot of money.
They bred this horse.
What's that?
They bred him.
But this was Peter. Peter had this horse first 2 races, right?
Peter owned him.
Yeah, you can see his silk.
Him. The Angel always throws me off.
Right.
I always feel like they should be filled.
And I'll tell you something else. This horse didn't even run that badly in the Hall of Fame,
and
frankly.
Those are really good horses.
So where has he been? They sold him. It just has a bad odor to me.
I agree. And places, I mean, the far outside posts and the turf race don't matter as much, but yeah, I know.
Okay, Famous Gent. I have a thing for this horse.
I agree with you.
Now, to be fair, a lot of his problems are his own doing. And Javier has to get him out, and I'm not blaming Javier for it, but this horse does have a problem getting out of the gate. He would have won that day in Saratoga if he hadn't stumbled.
And against, like, his Naira form, he was running against some legit horses.
Parkland owned him, Acacia Parkland owned him with Peter.
Oh,
so they must have bought Peter out. Okay.
Got it.
Thank you. I wonder if 6 furlongs could be really perfect for this horse. You know, you look at the 6 furlong race behind Bold Journey. He was way against the track that day. It was a gold rail. All the horses did well, were inside, particularly Bold Journey. He was very good. And I just feel like one of these days, he's not going to get unlucky, and he's going to win, and I'm going to take him at 12-1 because, Maggie, I didn't love anybody in here. I like Works for Me if he got in. I liked him.
You know, and furthermore, he just has the good turf form, and he's not having to overcome a layoff, where many of these are.
That's an interesting point. Like Acoustic Avenue, and I know it was a softer turf last time. Acoustic Avenue is one of those races. The more you watch it, I don't think he ran that well. I just feel like the whole field collapsed behind Super Quest in there, you know? And he just sort of was the one horse
that if he wins, he beats me, because I have strong reservations with him. And I know he's worked well on the turf, because
maybe a firmer turf will help him.
But I just didn't see him as a turf horse.
What about King Moon Racer? Now, he
likes a softer turf, but we're firm.
Yeah, he got a delicious trip and an amazing ride when he won for Flavian that day, and he got an 88 buyer.
That was the day.
Yes.
Flavian won 5 that day, I think?
Yes, that makes sense. I think he won like the last 3 or something, 3 or 4. He got a ridiculous trip when he was 3rd at Monmouth in his next race. And obviously something went wrong in the vacation dance race. I think he had a kind of a bad trip. He got left and everything. That was a very fast pace. He's got races, though, that make him dangerous. And so I've got him in there as well. But I feel like if Mischievous Angel is the favorite and you might both have him 3rd, he's just a reasonable horse to bet against. Just not a huge, I don't know. Where's he been? It's not a killer field, but it's a salty field. There's some pretty good horses in here. Race number 9, Be of Courage. And this was a DQ that ended up helping me a lot.
This was the most disgraceful DQ.
I don't think they should have taken it. I will say, and I got I made a lot more money because they put him up because I ended up paying the pick 3, which paid a lot.
I mean, congrats, but I was sick
no.
to my stomach.
This was, to me, I would never have taken this horse down. I benefited from it. I would not have taken this horse.
How can you argue that this affected
I thought it was a
outcome?
very minor thing they took him down for, and I think I picked the second winner, got put up and paid $29 or something, or $30. But no, this was, and the thing about it is, okay, he's off a layoff, I get it. He's better than these horses, and frankly, it's not that close.
And look, and I have said this to you, between the two of us. I know John Bregman doesn't win that many races, but I will tell you this: every
a lot
horse,
of bad horses in his barn.
Exactly, but every one of them looks good. They're well conditioned, they're well taken care of, and Be of Courage is the one in his barn that has some ability, and I would love more than anything for this horse to win today.
Well, he deserves to win because, I don't want to get it. He was so much the best that day,
I'm still salty about it. I'm very salty about it.
It's also a little bit painful when barns that don't have too many opportunities to win races have a horse and the horse wins and they get, and I'm not saying it was
it kind of annoyed me because Irad was the one who got put up. And I love Irad to pieces, but...
No, but everybody thinks that Irad doesn't come down because he's Irad, and that's nonsense, but whatever. I know you're not saying that.
But
I agree with you on Indian Mischief. I mean, there is a concern that Indian Mischief gets loose in here.
Wire. Yep.
But the thing about him is, speaking of horses, he stayed up. I didn't think he should come down. Everybody else in the world thought he should have, including the chart caller, who was way over the top in that one, his race Saratoga. He got a very slow pace when he was able to win at Saratoga, though I actually thought he ran okay. I think he ran better in defeat last time than he did in victory 2 back.
That was a
speed
quick
here.
pace for mile and 8.
Right.
They were winging it out there. Yeah. He could be loose in here. I mean, it bothers me a little bit that he's a horse that seems to run by appointment only, but when he shows up, he does show up.
I thought that Gem Mint 10 could get a good trip in here from the inside and be forward and maybe get a piece. I'm not sure what to do with the Paddock Pastor. I'll tell you one thing.
He was so green, and yet
if David thinks he's going to be favored over Be of Courage, I think, David, you're dreaming because I know he loves Be of Courage. He loved him the day he got taken down.
Yeah.
If this is his favor with his 67 buyer, and I get it, he was visually impressive. We'll watch the race. We'll see the start for the Paddock Pastor, and he got in trouble. He broke slow. He got rank, and he ran by the field. But I'm sorry, he still ran a 67 buyer. And there are no trips in slow races.
Do you think he was complimented by Instamatic finally coming back and winning as the favorite on Friday?
Doesn't he feel like he improved? And didn't he also like the distance a little? Was he sprinting?
Yeah.
He might want to go less distance and stuff. I'm
Yeah.
not knocking this horse. I'm not going to be surprised when he runs well in here. But if he's favored over Be of Courage, that's insane.
I think David's just going on connections. Rightfully so. You got
Irad
and Christoph versus...
Well, he made Lady Mia the 3rd choice yesterday, so he was a little slow on the uptake with Irad coming back. I saw that and I thought, David, do you not realize Irad's back? Anyway, I'm just having fun. Maybe he's right, but I'm sorry. And this horse, I get it. He passed the proverbial eye test. This horse should not be favored over Be of Courage.
Maybe I should have Tom's horse, but above. I mean,
which horse is Tom's?
What's really the difference other than less starts?
Easy roll?
Yeah.
Well, right. Why is Easy Roll supposed to be two or three times the price of that horse?
Exactly.
Ran a faster fig.
Mm-hmm.
The Paddock Pastor is the kind of horse, and I've got him 4th. I'm not going to say he can't win the race.
Yeah.
He's the kind of horse that people get in trouble with.
Yeah.
They get overly excited by the impressive win, the way he won, and they fail to take into account it wasn't that fast a race. Though he could improve going forward, turning into a 2-3-year-old now.
Green the entire time.
Be of Courage? Be of Courage is supposed to be 2-1 or less in this race. Maybe but it's not part of who David would say to me, it's the connections.
Yeah.
It's Irad and the other one and Christoph versus John Pregman. But the fact is,
he does get
the a better
heavier
horse.
today. Yeah.
We'll see what happens. All right, Maggie, great to have you back.
Glad to be here.
You need to head over to Naira Betts, because if you don't, I'm going to send Kyle after you.
Didn't even pick up his head.
He's very busy over there. He's extremely busy. Frank's here too, by the way. It's a very important day. I don't think
Frank's going to tell me I have no vacation days
I didn't know
left.
if you knew where the studio was. Frank's not in charge of vacation days. We don't have to be nice to him anymore. Go over to Naira Betts and use the promo code Derby25. Frank, that's the only reason anybody was nice to you. You know it, and I know it. once you've signed up, Derby 25, $25 bonus along with a $200 sign-up match. Check out track stats. Then you can go bet the second of 3 pick, oh no, the final race boost, profit, ugh, man. There's something about
I'll read it.
the gram that my father would throw up if he was still alive.
Wins
He
at
saw this. Opt in and you get 10% profit bonus on your win bet in the last race. And your win bet, not wins, win bet. Okay.
Maybe the last time Sierra Leone loses a race right there. No, I'm kidding.
I picked them third. My video should be out soon. They out, Frank?
Okay.
Yeah, those videos out, Frank? The Oaks and Derby videos were taped this morning. I don't think Sierra Leone is a good bet at 3-1, but I do think he could win. Middle pick 4, 2, 3, and 6. Cross country pick 5, 3 at Aqueduct, 2 at Oaklawn, and they will all be on America's Day at the Races, which is on from 1 to 6 on FS2. We're done. We have to go to our other job. Frank is clearly here for an important reason, so we're going to run out of here. You have a great day. Chris Griffin's up next to reprise the Scratch and Changes.
For almost 150 years, the Saratoga name has been synonymous with the finest quality, sustainably sourced spring water available anywhere. Saratoga carries on the rich tradition of its forefathers by crafting each stunning blue glass bottle with the same attention to detail and care that has been its hallmark for generations. Visit SaratogaSpringwater.com today or ask for us by name at your local market or restaurant. Saratoga Spring Water. Make every day exquisite.